Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining for another session of Azure Power Lunch. As you know that we record these calls and place these recordings on our YouTube channel. So if you don't agree with it, you may want to drop off. So with that, let's start with our topic of discussion. We are talking about Agentic CLI for AKS. This is currently in public preview. So as you know that with the popularity and AI going mainstream, a number of applications, services, tools, they all have these agentic capabilities being, introduced. Some have mature, some have started to build in, and what they have done is making the tools more easier, more natural to use. And for example, instead of like running this the CLI or the language of their tool or machine language or whatever that is, you can talk to it in a natural language, and that makes it easier for you to use the service tools or whatever application and get your result faster, makes you more productive. Let's put it this way, and makes the tool more useful. That's what been going on with this introduction of agentic CLI for AKS. What it is, with the agentic CLI, you have the integration of AKS with LLM, and what it does for you is you can, instead of running the CLI commands, you can basically go in and ask question in natural language, like how many nodes are there in my cluster, how many pods are there, and you can do pretty sophisticated tasks as well. Find out like network usage, pod usage, things like that. So this feature, as I have said previously, is in public preview. Um, and in regards to install it, you have to have, or run it, I should say, you have to have a LLM present. You can use Azure OpenAI or any other OpenAI for that matter, or you can use other LLMs as well. So this works with integration with LLM. So that's keep in mind. And once again, as I said, it allows you to do the queries in a natural language manner. Okay. So moving forward, um, so um, in regards to um, uh, the power of it, it kind of guides you like a workflow. And if you are want to do certain tasks, so all of these capabilities are built. And just keep in mind, this is strictly in public preview. So as this thing goes into GA, more and more capabilities, hopefully, are surfaced. Prerequisite: you have to have Azure CLI 2.76 plus. So basically, anything above 2.76, you can install a CLI depending on where you are using this from. Install it, run it. Number two, you have to have a LLM available. So you have to have the API, basically ability to access it. API keys, you can access the LLM. So that can be an Azure OpenAI. In the demo, I have an Azure OpenAI LLM that I'm using. Um, or you can use OpenAI compatible model or Gemini or Anthropic, things like that. Um, at the same time, when you're using it, you have to log into Azure. I'm going to be showing it from the Azure Shell, which is integrated in Azure Portal. So I'm already logged in, and you have to get the credential. So the cluster that you're going to be in context with, you have to get the credential. So you do, the same thing you do to get the credential. So you get the credential, and then you go from there. Okay. And we will take a look at all of these steps. And in regards to install, as I said, this is a new extension. You have to do AZ extension add. And once you add it, you have to update it as well. Or you always update it to make sure you have all the new features there. And then you can do AKS agent help to find out if there is any issue. Um, And by the way, this is the configuration file. That's how the configuration file look like. So once you have configured it, that's how the configuration file will look like. So you will have the provider, whoever is the provider, deployment name, API key. Of course, I have kind of made the API key hidden, and then of course so at that point, if you are if you're not sure which model you can use, let's say you did it a few days ago and then you're not sure what models you can use, then you can come in and then look at it and then it will tell you what models are available there. Okay. Any questions? So let's jump into the demo now. So first of all, we are gonna go in and let me open the browser. So this is my Azure Cloud Shell. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check if this agent is installed. As you can see, this agent is installed. What I can do is I can um, see what this agent can do, and this is all the commands that it can run. So this is basically you can ask all these things in regards to the agent, and let's do AKS agent init. Oh, sorry, I typed it. Okay, so this is the steps. So step by step, the first thing you do is okay, what model LLM large language model you're gonna be using. So let's say I'm gonna use OpenAPI, then it's gonna ask me the name, and then it's the next thing. Let's say if I type in GPT-5, for example. Okay, then it will ask me the key. So basically, you will have to do the same steps. Once you do the same steps, it will populate the configuration file, and at that point, you will be able to run this thing. So let's start our um, first query. So what we're gonna do, um, I am going to run a very simple query, and I'm not very good at typing, so I'm just gonna paste it. So I'm asking how many nodes are in my cluster. Okay. What I have done is I have already run AKS get credentials command. So I am connecting to a cluster. Let me show just for the sake of knowledge, where is my cluster running? Take you there. Okay. Kubernetes services. So I have one cluster that I'm running here. This is my cluster that is in question. Basically, we are going to be operating on that. This is my cluster, so that's what I'm going to be running against the query against that. Okay, so let's go back to our shell and let's run this command. Okay, so it's loaded the model. Just look at that loaded model, loaded the tool set, and at that point, it's gonna start running the query. The first time I have noticed the queries, it takes a little bit of time, but then it rose fast. Okay. Yes. Okay, this cluster has one node. Okay. So the next question you may want to ask is, um, how many pods are there in my cluster? Okay, so once again, it's going to run this command and it's going to give you the information back. So there are 29 pods. I want to get the name of the pods with the namespace. Give me a list of all pods and their namespaces. And by the way, with uh, this, whenever you're doing natural language, the more descriptive you can be, the more is better. So now, okay, I misspelled it, but that's okay. Let's see if it retrieve a list of all pods and their respective namespaces. So it's able to translate my kind of a mistyping and able to provide me with the information. So these are all the nodes. So in this one, I'm running an I want to find there's an Nginx pod. I want to find, let's say there's too many pods. I want to find a pod that names Nginx. So give me all the pods with Nginx in their name. So it's gonna find all the pods which has Nginx in their name. Okay. I realize that I don't need this pod, so I want to delete this pod. Please delete the pod, and that's where I want to see named engine X in default name space. Okay, so folks, that's where I want you to pay attention. So once I run this command, um, okay, allow delete. Okay, so since this is command approval required, so basically it's asking you that you need to give approve this command. This is, just keep in mind, this is not asking for some information. Okay, this is asking for deleting something, which is a changing the nature of something or making a change to the cluster. And that's where it wanna confirm, hey, by mistake you typed it, so somebody just copied the some stuff and running it. So that's why it's asking, like, hey, are you sure you wanna delete this? And yes, I wanna delete this part, and it's gonna go ahead and delete it. Okay, so now we have run some commands. I just want to do a quick postmortem of what we have done, and then we will run more commands. I will show you what other things it can do. And by the way, to be honest, 30 minutes are not sufficient to go through it. I highly recommend you take a look at it on the docs and go over it. There's a lot more that can be done. There's a lot more integration that are very interesting. Okay, first of all, what you have seen is as soon as I ran the initial command, now it takes me into an interactive phase, okay, where you have, I am the user and I don't have to type the whole command again, AKS, AKS agent, code, question, and then name of the LLM, all of that. If you don't want that, you can use a no interactive parameter in the end, and it will always bring back to the prompt. It may be useful in a case where you are running a batch command, okay, where you are running a lot of tasks that you want this thing to do, and you want it to run behind the scene and give you the result. In that case, it will be non-interactive, okay. In these cases where we are getting the commands and we are getting the output there, it's okay to use this interactive mode. It's more useful. You can just type the commands and get information out. Where you are running multiple things and you are basically investigating. Got it? Otherwise, you can use the non-interactive mode. Okay, I hope everybody is with me. Second thing is, look how it is breaking the task. So basically, as we are providing it, it goes in and it will break the task, and then it will process it step by step, kind of in a workflow. So that's how it operates on things that the commands that we are sending, and behind the scene, it is generating CLI commands to execute them. Okay, so that's that. Any questions? Okay, so now let's run some other commands. So once again, I'm going to give me a list of all pods and their namespaces. So what I'm doing is, um, not related to this session. I'm running a self-hosted API management gateway in my um, AKS cluster. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run um, a few commands there. So first of all, let me just first of all, yeah. So let me start again the AKS. So sorry guys, let me just go in here and start the um, Nginx, and then I'm gonna run a few commands against that self-hosted gateway. This is that created, and the next thing is I am running the. Okay, so I am in the Nginx, and now I'm gonna run the command to run some just some queries there. Okay, so basically this is calling the. I'm not sure it's typing it, copying it twice, but what it is doing, it's calling a service. So I want some logs in that. So there is a pod that is running the API management self-hosted gateway, and we will get the logs from that pod. Okay. So I go in here and let's scroll back up a little bit. You will see that there is a pod running in the and the name of the pod is AKS GW01. And what I'm going to do is I am going to get the logs for that pod for the weather that talks about weather forecast. Because if you see, the API that we were running was named weather forecast. So let's do that. Okay. Get the get top second, get top 20 logs from the pod. This is the name of the pod, which contains the word weather forecast. So basically, I'm just trying to find out, I'm running this service, what are the logs that are there saying. So, it's gonna be, it's in the default namespace, it's gonna find this pod, it's gonna then fetch the logs, and then it's gonna find top 20 logs, hopefully that will, you see each step by step, it's running it, and then it's breaking it down, uh, and then it's completing the task, and then it's gonna return you the result. Okay. In the meantime, any questions, folks? Oh, here we go. So let's see if that is what we asked for. Yes. So these are the logs. As you can see here, this is these are the top 20 logs, and it has uh, weather forecast. Look, here is, oh, sorry, should not be the case. Here is weather forecast. So basically, all these logs contain weather forecast in it, and that's how this is running. So that's kind of a way to use it without knowing ins and outs of kubectl, everything, and you can kind of um, it gives you the idea of like how different things in your cluster is working without knowing ins and outs of kubectl. So for example, and it's more to it, it's not just kubectl. So for example, give me uh, CPU and memory usage per for each pod in my cluster. Okay, so it's going to give you how memory and CPU is being used. And just keep in mind, oh, by the way, one very important thing I want to mention, it still governs by what level of access you have on this cluster. Okay. So for example, if I am not, I mean, right now I created this cluster, I have full control. But let's say I'm just a reader, then I won't be able to do certain things that I can do being having a full control over the cluster or in in the role that I am in. So it still abide by all the RBAC rules that are there. So look at this information here. You know, it has generated how much CPU it is. I mean, these are I just using it for testing, so it's not much CPU, but gives you an idea. Like, I mean, you can find out, and it gives you if your cluster, let's say there's a problem with your cluster, it will tell you what issues your cluster have and things like that. So all of these things are kind of surfaced through this agentic um, and through the agentic manner as a part of CLI for AKS. Any questions, folks? Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Let's go back to the slide deck. And here are some resources, by the way. Agentic CLI for AKS. As you know that, as I said before, that as AI becoming more and more popular, agentic capabilities are being added to all a number of products, services, and tools, and they allow you to get information, do tasks in using natural language instead of using the machine language or UI of that service makes it easier for you. That's what this capability is all about. Agentic CLI for AKS is in public preview. This brings the ability to query, ask things, and do tasks using natural language. Okay, it's an extension that you have to install. You will need an LLM. It can be either Azure OpenAI, or other LLM. You can look at the documentation. There's a list of those. Once you set it up, then you can start using this. It also integrates with AKS MCP, just to keep that in mind. So that integration is there as well, that you can take advantage of. So as I said, all of these features and capabilities at this moment are in public preview. It's an open public preview, so you can, if you have access to an access to an LLM, you can. I will highly recommend you take a look at that. And I'm sure it's going to make the life of people who are working with AKS on a daily basis, make their life much easier, and more dealing with AKS makes it much more um, efficient. With that, we have 5 more minutes. Any questions, folks? Okay. So that's all I have to discuss today. Hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend. Thank you.